Hello you beautiful, beautiful people. Today we are jumping into the festival playlist for the spring hot season for Series 2 in Forza Horizon 5. We're grabbing 45 points to unlock the Lamborghini Gallardo Performante Spider and the Peel Trident. So if you're only around here, definitely consider subscribing so you can easily find your way back to the channel to find more videos just like this one. A like rating would be much appreciated. Let's jump into this week's festival playlist. Okay, so I'm currently sitting on 23 points for the spring hot season, pretty much halfway there towards our Peel Trident. I have already completed the weekly Forzathon challenges, the COSI. There is a video on the channel and a link in the description below on how to get this completed. I have gone ahead and completed this week's online trial as well. 'Tis the season to be hooning, worth 10 points. And a reward of the Hoonigan COSI. I'm not going to lie, this wasn't easy. It did take me 3 attempts to get this done. I have also completed this week's treasure hunt, Too Cool to Air, 50,000 credit reward and 3 points towards our playlist. There is a video on the channel and a link in the description below on how to get this complete. And of course we have completed monthly rivals, 1 clean lap. Doesn't need to be good or fast, just needs to be clean, worth 4 points towards our playlist. So to get ourselves to 45 points, we're going to be completing the 3 seasonal championships and the 3 PR stunts. But first, let's take a look at this week's online trial, 'Tis the season to be hooning, and how I got that completed. Now, the online trial from the festival players can be notorious for not providing the best experience from any Forza Horizon game. This week's is no different. We're in the Street Scene series in any car offered up from Hoonigan in S1 900, up against unbeatable driver tires with teammates that don't really understand what racing etiquette is. Now, like I say, this week's online trial did take me 3 or 4 attempts to get complete. I jumped in the Chevrolet Napalm Nova offered up by Hoonigan, S1 900, 4-wheel drive and 967 horsepower. Please use my tune to search my gamer tag Skippy 4631 or use the share code 848207953. All share codes for all tunes will be in description and in the comments below. With this week's rather tricky online trial completed, let's move on and get the 3 PR stunts completed. Kicking things off with the danger sign Boardwalk, worth 2 points, and a normal wheel spin. As always, we've got car restrictions. This week, Super Saloons A800. There are so many Super Saloons to choose from for this week's danger sign. With a little bit of tuning and upgrading trickery, I've gone with the 2020 Porsche Taycan Turbo S, fully electric, pushing out 752 horsepower and 4-wheel drive. This car can be picked up in the auto show for 185,000 credits. It's also in the accolades as a reward. So for the Boardwalk danger sign, we're looking for a seasonal objective of 249.3 feet. Okay, I'm pretty confident this week's danger sign isn't going to be too difficult. I've lined myself up with the danger sign dead ahead. The worst thing is going to be the water as it pulls the car around, but let's let it rip. Let's get this done. It's going to be one of the quietest danger signs I've done, being all electric, up into 2nd gear. Keep the power on. We are 4-wheel drive. We are off-road tyres. Off the ramp at about 100 miles an hour. We hit 415.33 feet as a 3-star objective and seasonal objective completed. Just as I suspected, this week's danger sign Boardwalk wasn't too bad. But let's move on to this week's speed trap, Los Arboles. Again, worth 2 points and 1 wheel spin with a restriction of the Ford Mstang 69 A800. And this right here is the vehicle in question, the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 302 A800. I'm pushing out 590 horsepower, 4-wheel drive. This car can be picked up in the auto show for 230,000 credits, which, to be honest, is quite expensive. For this week's speed trap, we're looking for a seasonal objective of 130 miles an hour. Here we go, 130 miles an hour through this week's speed trap. I'm heading downhill towards the camera because downhill equals more speed, right? Let's get it up into 4th and keep the power planted, maybe up into 5th. Through the camera, easy peasy, 135.71. Seasonal objective completed. So with this week's speed trap, Los Arboles completed. It's on to this week's speed zone, Punto de Vista, worth 2 points and 1 normal wheel spin. This week's restriction, pickups and 4x4s, C600. This is going to be a new one for me. I haven't actually completed this speed zone yet, but Punto de Vista seasonal objective 82 miles an hour. There are plenty of awesome pickups and 4x4s to choose from for this week's speed zone. I, however, have gone for the Willys MB Jeep from 1945, pushing out 300 horsepower using four-wheel drive and can be picked up in the auto show for 40,000 credits. This week's speed zone, Punto de Vista, is looking for a seasonal objective of 82 miles an hour. Right then, here we go. Punto de Vista, 82 mile an hour seasonal objective, coming in at a bit of a funny angle, but this will give us good speed going into the camera, and that is what we want. The higher the entry speed, the better. We go in at 100 miles an hour exactly, ignoring this first braking zone, get slightly around the right, on the brakes, down a couple of gears, back on the power. Don't worry too much about that speed, it will jump up the closer you get to the end zone. Keep the power on, slightly cutting these corners. Lever the throttle there, power back on. Through the camera, 82.12 miles an hour. New personal best for me, as I've never completed that camera before. And seasonal objective completed. Now with a slightly cleaner run, you can get 83 to 84 miles an hour using the Willys Jeep. So with the speed zone Punto de Vista completed, that is all 3 PR stunts done. We are now sitting on 29 points for the spring hot season, unlocking the Gallardo Spider Performante. Let's move on to the 3 seasonal championships, kicking things off with Auld syne for the Aston Martin Vantage 2019 and 5 points towards our playlist. Restrictions for this one is decade, anything from 2010's A800. For this championship, Horizon Wilds presents made in the 2010s Auld syne. We're in the dirt racing series over 3 events, 2 sprint and 1 circuit, for a tasty reward of the Aston Martin Vantage. For this season championship, I jumped in the mini John Cooper Works Countryman All 4, pushing out 493 horsepower and using 4-wheel drive. So with the seasonal championship, Auld syne dealt with pretty quickly. Let's move on to our second championship for this week's playlist, New Beginnings, for 5 points, and the Ferrari 575M. Car restrictions for this one, GT cars, A800. Horizon Apex presents this seasonal championship New Beginnings, which means we're going to be in the road racing series over 3 races, all of them being sprint races, for a tasty reward of the Ferrari 575M. For this championship, we've got a choice of GT cars A800, which gives us a choice of the Jaguar F-type R and the Bentley Continental Supersports. I went with the Jag F-type, pushing out 642 horsepower and utilising 4-wheel drive. And with the seasonal championship, New Beginnings now completed, it's on to our final championship this week, Down for the Countdown, for 5 points towards our festival playlist and a reward of the Mercedes-Benz G63 6x6. Restrictions for this one, pickups and 4x4s in C600. Now, Horizon Baja presents the seasonal championship Down for the Countdown, which means we're going to be in the cross-country series over 3 events, 2 circuit and 1 sprint, for a tasty reward of the Mercedes-Benz G63 6x6. For this seasonal championship, I played it safe and went for the Ford F-150 Raptor, using 4-wheel drive and pushing out 528 horsepower. And with all 3 championships now complete, that is 15 points towards our spring hot season festival playlist. We are tantalisingly close to unlocking the Peel Trident at 44 points. To grab that last point towards this week's spring season to unlock the Peel Trident, I'm going to go ahead and complete this week's Event Lab Challenge, Upgrade to Exit. Now, I won't spoil the event for anyone that hasn't completed it yet for this week's playlist, but that is a great use of Event Lab in Forza Horizon 5. That gives us the final points we need to complete this week's spring hot season, unlocking the Peel Trident. And that is this week's festival playlist done and dusted, 47 points on the board. Having completed this week's Forzathon challenges, the Cozzy, this week's online trial, 'Tis the Season to be Hooning, this week's Event Lab Challenge, the 3 PR stunts, 3 seasonal championships, this week's treasure hunt, Too Cool to Air, and monthly rivals done and dusted as well. If you've got any questions about the festival players, do hit me up in the comments. I'll do my best to help you out. As always though, thank you so much for watching. If you are new, definitely consider subscribing. We'll be doing this every single week right here on the channel. We'll also be doing live streams for the multiplayer events here on the channel as well. But stay safe and have an awesome day.